So I'm gonna do a reading, and this reading is for the collective. Um, Take a few deep breaths. If you're new, I'm Captain the Untamed Oracle. If you know me, then you know me. I am going to pull some cards. I'm going to read them, and I'm also going to allow myself to channel any messages that may be being interfered with to come through for you all. As you know, I am not in my home right now, so I'm having to make adjustments and do what I can, and that's cool because that's the whole purpose of being an alchemist. But I felt compelled to do this. I got my benzoin burning, I got my candles burning, I got everything set up, and I believe that this is about to be a very powerful message. And if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. That's okay. But we're going to get right into the cards. And we're going to start off with Isis. Okay. Ooh, ego neutrality is in the air. If you haven't been working on separating what's ego and what's not, this is going to definitely compel you to do so. If you've already been working on that, even better. Even better, because you're going to get some experiences that's going to help you. But just know that it's in the air. Spiritually, the ethers are detoxing the ego. And this is happening on a collective level. Yeah, we're shifting. The poles are reversing. If you are someone who knows how to take better care of other people than yourself, taking care of yourself right now is the master class for you. If you are someone who self-preserves and struggles to meet others' needs, maybe even struggle to acknowledge that other people have needs because you're so consumed by your own thoughts. The opposite of you learning how to be in service to others. The Talisman of Potency is the first card that came up. And this is, I want you to, talismans are highly protective. It is a sacred object or tool. It could be something you created, something you bought, but it is meant to be of protection. Much like my Eye of Horus ring, this would be a talisman. And this card says that sacred tools and objects can become an extension of your energy field, focusing your power and intention, helping you to heal the split between spirit and matter, bringing physical matter more deeply into light and life. You are encouraged to work with sacred materials in a conscious way to help your own healing and enjoyment of the material world as a part of your spiritual practice. Look, I know that we have been told that a spiritually minded person is not supposed to focus on material gains, but that is not true. The poles are reversing. If you have found yourself thinking more about your career, money, savings, long-term, this is divinely being inspired for you to focus on these things, because in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see major shifts where there is not going to be things at the store that you could walk in and just grab. That is the time that we're coming into. And so many people have had discussions about politics and the decisions that they're making and the way it's impacting us. But this is a collective test. This is a test to see who is going to rise and who will not. This is a test for us to learn how to be more sovereign. And that could be many different ways, whether it's making more money or saving money, being better with money. But one thing is for certain, using talismans to help remove negativity is going to be helpful for you. I thought about closing down my spiritual shop. I'm going to leave it open for a little while longer because I know that there are some people who will divinely align with me, my information, and know it's time for me to get some tools, or it's time for me to re-up, and it's time for me to take my spiritual practice more seriously. The reason a lot of us who may struggle with money is due to poverty contracts. I did an entire workshop about that. Anything that you purchase from the website, you're gonna get that workshop for free, okay? And this information is not stuff that you can just easily look up and find. What would be the point of me doing that? I want to give you information that has been transformational for me and for my clients. But I want you to know it is not anything negative about you having a focus on material gains. We will require material resources to rebuild the new earth. And so those poverty vows that were taken by our ancestors, deceased relatives, and passed down to us, it is a subconscious programming. It is a programming that I must work hard. It is a programming that I am not enough. And for those of us who have wombs and we're being drawn to learning how to magnetize, learning how to attract, to soften, to trust the process, to relax and receive, versus operating in masculine energy of force, trying to penetrate, trying to make things happen, learning how to surrender and allow, stepping away from burnout culture, stepping away from hustle culture, stepping away from I'll sleep when I die, stepping away from I must work my fingers to the bone. This is not true. For those of us who are being initiated into this divine feminine wisdom in this essence, it is challenging because the way that energy moves in and out of our world is reversing. When poles shift on the planet, it is representative of the poles also shifting internally, as within, so without, as above, so below. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And with that shift in poles, we will also see relationship templates shifting, where people who maybe were 50-50 in relationships are no longer doing that, maybe even no longer able. For those of us who have had a difficult time letting that go, even in our partnership, or maybe not wanting to be a burden on our partner and wanting to be able to help them, this is a time now where we're stepping into our power and our sovereignty. And this means no longer feeling like you have to take on so much, no longer feeling like if you don't do it, it won't get done, because it's not just a physical thing. This is a spiritual thing that's happening right now. Even monks be accepting donations, okay? And so I want you to know that that is very spiritual. When I created this abundance workshop, I had no idea why I even wanted to talk about any of this, because it had not been my focus. And it's just lately, it's been strongly something that comes back to me over and over again. And so the way that we make our money, the mindsets that is required for us to attract money, for so many of us, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Learning how to rest, how to relax, how to emotionally regulate yourself, how to soothe your nervous system is what's going to bring you in the money that you deserve. Not just the money, the resources, the networks, the people. I know that we have been taught that you have to always do it by your hands and have to always be the sweat of the brow, but that's not true. Not on a new earth. And for people who are living on the old earth, that may be true for them. But if you are called to be a cycle breaker, you're not going to be able to play the game of simulation anymore with the same rules that once applied. So yes, tap into that. I talked about talismans in that workshop. Thank you, Isis. Do you have any more information to share? Spirit said, breathe. Make sure that you're breathing. Make sure that you're breathing. Make sure that you're breathing slowly with intention and gratitude. Because that is ultimately divine currency. If you have breath, you're wealthy. It's requiring us to have a mindset to do things in the opposite order. Instead of waiting for something to come to you, being prepared for when it arrives, to use it in a way that is aligned with the paradigm that is shifting. Life is being restored. Life is being restored. A lot of us and most people, we've been the walking dead. When you're emotionally numb, and I know y'all know what I'm talking about, things just don't feel the way they used to. You feel a lack of connection. Surface conversations are damn near painful. It's like you really don't want to have conversations with surface dwellers anymore. Once you start doing this work, you go through a cycle of rebirth. So this is a resurrection that's occurring right now. I did the breakdown about the Super Bowl. Pepsi upside down is dead. Okay? And I went deep into the metaphysics of that on my Patreon. And so all of these movies about zombies wasn't what we thought it was. It was the lack of connection to your soul, the lack of connection to source energy. This can show up as chronic fatigue. This can show up as confusion, not having clarity. This can show up as feeling misaligned, feeling like you're living someone else's life, feeling like you're supposed to be somewhere other than where you are. When you unplug from the 3D matrix, you start to come back to life. But it's not always comfortable. It's difficult because the things that once nourished us no longer nourish us. It says spiritual resurrection is gifted to you now. Whatever part of you or your life that you thought to be dead is being revived and will flourish back into life. Just as the phoenix rises from the fire, transitioning from death into life, so too will you rise again, healed and renewed. Look, y'all, right here, right here. This is the scarab, but this scarab has wings, okay? Rebirth and resurrection, you're gonna go through birth pains. You're gonna go through labor. You're going to have a waiting period. You're going to have a period where you're going to have to protect the work that you have been doing on yourself. You're going to have to protect the new beliefs that you have that may be very different from everybody else around you. You're going to have to protect your value. You're going to have to protect your energy. Be more mindful of who you share energy with and why. What you allow yourself to receive. This is why in ancient Kemet, there's so much information in the Book of the Dead, because there was an understanding that when you fall into this 3D form, it's like death. And for those of us who walk on eggshells, we're afraid to trigger people. We're afraid to cause conflict. We don't want to feel unsafe. And so we repress, we stuff down, we suppress, we don't work through things. We attract people who feel safe with someone who does that only because they don't know how to feel safe within themselves. And it's just a repetition. It's a trauma reenactment that's disguised as a relationship. And so many of us are having this happen, but we're coming back online. Make sure that you are using the PRP, the positive reframe practice. Because the mindset, the thoughts that you have on repeat create your beliefs. And your beliefs create your frequency, and your frequency creates your reality. And it is a period of time that you must be patient until whatever it is that you have been changing and cultivating brings forth its fruit. So keep going. Do not stop. Do not give up. Okay? Don't give up. If you was thinking about it, no. Just push through a little more. Push through a little more. You're so close. You're so close. The farther away that I feel from what it is my heart desire usually represents how close I really am. The closer you are, the farther away it's going to feel. I mean, this is the 3D matrix. It's a simulation. That's what it do. It had you upside down, inside out. The 3D matrix be turning us. And remember, I said the poles reversing. Okay? Poles are reversing. Are you reversing? Sometimes it's good to just completely flip the script. What you've been doing ain't working. It's time for you to relax on rigidity and be open to flexibility. What would you like to share with us? I feel like you want to jump out. But I trust what you're finna give me. So I pulled the 10 of Cups. And this is, to me, the 10 of Cups is like something coming to a completion of where you actually belong. So many of us, our personal truths was suppressed. We became emotional contortionists, and we would bend this way and that way to try to fit into whatever circumstance based on childhood where you had to be someone else. You had to learn how to code switch to be able to navigate the world. That's a strength when it's used appropriately. But when it becomes a subconscious way that you function and you're unaware that you're functioning this way, it's going to drain your joy. It's going to drain your happiness. And so this is letting me know that we're creating success. We're creating a brighter future. That's why the world seems so dark right now. Look, if you got defense mechanisms, and I have a whole breakdown in Turn Pain into Purpose course for you to figure out what your defensive mechanisms are subconsciously, the 3D matrix got defense mechanisms too. The social constructs, the ideologies, they have defensive mechanisms as well. It doesn't just show up in people. It shows up in energy. It shows up in realms of consciousness. And so a lot of us, we don't feel happy. We don't feel joy. We don't feel love because we're in that liminal in-between space of becoming a new human being, becoming something so different from what we've ever been, but we're riding the waves. And one day you feeling like you're our divine self, and the next day you feeling like your shadow self. One day you feeling like you on top of the world, the next day you feel like F the world. One day you feel like everything is working out for you, and you say that shit and you really mean that. And then the next day something happens and you like, when it rains, it pours. And it's almost like, am I bipolar? Like, what is up? Why am I can't hold a steady vibration. It's a challenge, but it can be done. It can be done, because the Ten of Cups also represents a yes. So yes, it can be done. All right. And a lot of the work that we've been doing up to this point was to help us see the mind of a child, because a lot of us are dealing with immaturity, emotionally immature. It's just one of the things that we signed up for in our soul contract to experience, to help our soul evolve. And so with that, when you have trauma that you have not processed, there's a tendency for you to see everything in black and white. Stuff is either good or bad. You know, people are either with you or against you. People either love you or hate you, but sometimes it can be one of those shades of gray in between. Oftentimes it is. The world is not in black and white. All mental illnesses have this as a consistent thing of seeing things in black and white. And so it makes it hard for you to be flexible. It makes it hard for you to have a perception that is flexible. You can't see the possibilities. You can't see the potentials, and it might be unfolding right in front of you. But if you've been looking at the world in black and white, it's going to be really hard for you to see that what's happening in your life that might not feel good is for you and not to you. And so this means that some of us are going through a period of discontentment, and maybe we feel disappointed by people that we thought we would be able to count on. Like, just know it's a divine test, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do different? That's the question. What are you gonna do different? A lot of us will be going through all types of illusions being destroyed, and so it's gonna create disharmony. Yeah. Beliefs that was like not really your true beliefs, it's being shattered. It's being shattered. It's a hall of mirrors. And this is why, even speaking from my own experience, I'm still figuring out who my authentic self is. Because it was unsafe for me to be authentic. I have to look at pictures of me when I was a baby and when I was little just to see what my authentic aura looks like, to help me remember. And we're remembering. So notice the discord, notice the arguments, notice even the silent tension. It's like it's quiet, but it's not peaceful. It might be quiet because somebody learned how to walk on eggshells really well, but the energy still feels tense. Okay, if that's happening, just know it's happening for you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. This represents the root chakra as well. And the inner child lives inside of the root chakra. The consciousness of your inner child and experiences that you had that you did not understand at the time live in your root chakra. So this is why we see so much root chakra warfare happening, to cause people to lose hope, to cause people to be disheartened by what they see happening. Remember, illusions are being shattered. Anything that is being taken away from you right now is to give you something that's much better. What else do you have for us? So I pulled the Knight of Wands. I feel like for so long we have been armored like knights, and we have struggled with insecurities, and now those insecurities keep us armored. We think that we have boundaries, but really it's armor, which means what you are meant to receive cannot get in. When you have boundaries, you know how to let in what is aligned with you. When you don't have proper boundaries, and when you are armored, you are guarded, you are living in black and white, which is fight or flight. When you live in that space for too long, it drains your life force energy. Remember, I pulled this card. It drains your life force energy. And this can almost feel as if you lack motivation for life anymore. But if you just would Shift your perspective to see challenges as a classroom, and that challenge has particular simulations to help you to overcome what you are going through. And in order for us to be able to overcome these insecurities, we're gonna have to stop looking for something outside of us or someone to help us feel better about ourselves. Doing things and not really thinking before you do it. And when I say thinking, I don't mean just thinking logically. I mean feeling into it intuitively, allowing the heart. A lot of us live like automatons. Something happened, we react. Somebody say something, we react. When you live in fight or flight, when you live in black and white, when you live in what's wrong and what's right, it's going to be really difficult for you to pivot. It's going to be difficult for you to adjust to a new path, to a new way, to a new belief. And so you might be taking action, but you're taking action with a mindset that is not going to serve you. And we're not being given that grace anymore. You know how to teach us, like, look, it's been a rough week. I'm going to curve the grade. Okay, well, that period is over. There's no more of that. The grade is what you get. You get what you get, you know. This is solar plexus energy as well. So in order for us to move forward, it's going to be working on our confidence. Do you do something every single day that builds up your confidence intentionally? Do you intentionally say, I'm going to do something today to help build up my confidence? If you are not doing that, then you're throwing your confidence to the wind and you just hoping that somebody go blow some confidence in your direction. And it ain't gonna happen like that. This is something that we must learn to generate. We must learn to create. And I talked about the immaturity, because the Knight of Wands can be immature. I mean, it's a warrior mindset, right? It's a fight. I'm prepared. I'm armored to fight. And if you always feel like you got to fight, notice I said always. That's black and white thinking. That's black and white talking. If you always feel like it's a fight, if you always feel like something is about to go wrong and you got to be prepared at all times, how can you receive the beautiful things that you really deserve? You really deserve it. You really do. You really, really do. Thank you. Now I'm going to go to my Kali Oracle deck and see what she would like to share with us. I love, 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 love these decks that I'm using. Most of the decks that I use are available in my shop as well. And that link is in the description bio, wherever you're watching this. My spirit guides is, you know, some of my spirit guides who speak to me are more like parents to me, helping me to reparent myself as I go through the spiritual awakening. And reparenting is a concept that is mostly founded in psychology, but it has a spiritual dynamic to it, which is one of the most important dynamics. I mean, if you're not working on the spiritual part, like, what are you even doing? If you're just dealing with the veneer, which is life situations, and you're not working on your frequency, your vibration, your subconscious mind, healing some wounds that you might still have from childhood. Like, if you're not doing it that way, you're doing it backwards. You got the cart in front of the horse, and you wonder why you ain't getting nowhere. Trust me, I know. I've been there, and I still have days where I feel so stuck. I feel so lost. And I'm just not sure of anything, and I don't want to make a wrong move, and I end up with analysis paralysis. It's okay. This is part of the journey. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to get it right immediately. You know, and like I said, the ego is being dismantled so that it can have wings like the scarab, to have new life, to have wings. The ego is not the enemy. The ego is also capable of evolving. You got to watch out for that spiritual ego. The spiritual ego will like flock to information, and it'll be really revolutionary, new, free thinking, types of thoughts and stuff. Like the spiritual ego love that. But is it doing anything for you in your life? Or is it just feeding your mind? And the mind has been hyper inflated. The mind is meant to be the slave. The heart is meant to be the master. But we've been indoctrinated since children to use our mind. And so a lot of us are stuck inside of our head, which leaves our body and our auric field open to all types of holes, punctures, and energy attachments and vows and things that don't even belong to us, thoughts that ain't even ours. This is the time now to start deciphering what's mine and what's not. Khadga. Khadga, if you notice, she has a sickle. And you see the skulls, and this represents the mind, the head being in control, the severing of the head, the severing of the things that have taken control over us. This is divine detachment. It's so necessary for us to sever ourselves from the false identity that we took on, because you are not your thoughts, right? You are not your thoughts. And who you are is deep within the core essence of the expression of your soul. But we live in a world where that's not really supported. It's still being suppressed, especially for us women. We're really feeling the weight of the patriarchy right now. Some men too, but especially for us women. And we're multiple generations down. Detachment is medicine for us. If you have been codependent, it's hard for you to not take on other people's pain, if it's difficult for you to not fix everybody, fix everything, to feel responsible. As someone who was a parentified child, I learned to be responsible early on, and so it's so difficult for me to sometimes take my hands out of stuff and allow people to go through their own process without feeling like I have to fix it. Khadga does not play no games when it comes to that. She will teach you the art of detachment, and I'm telling you, you will find yourself thinking thoughts you ain't never thought before, and might even be called a narcissist by somebody. You might even get called selfish by somebody once you start practicing detachment. But it's divine detachment. It's not the same thing as avoidance. Avoidance is unconscious. It's motivated by fear. It's motivated by the wounds that are not healed. Divine detachment is intentional. It's conscious. I know that this is not beneficial for me, and it's time for me to let it go. Now, Khadga, she wields the holy sword of divine severance, empowering the soul in radical letting go. She instills the courage to bear the pain of loss and the wisdom to realize the secret blessing that can only arise when we embrace change. Where our strength of will may falter, she intervenes to ensure we do not sabotage our ultimate fulfillment and spiritual progress. She will not allow our souls to be ensnared in any kind of deception or trapped in fear. She is the liberator, and her sword clears the path, revealing truth. Khadga is a Sanskrit word for sword. Devi Khadgasta means the divine mother who wields the sword. Now, what is the sacred weapon? The sword severs, it breaks, it destroys. It can be a symbol for truth and the need of the soul to let something or someone go, even though the attachment of the ego may demand that we remain connected out of fear of loss or fear of the pain of the loss. Devi Kali's sword is the symbol of her will and her attainment. Her sword knows which attachments require severing, and also when and how to obtain such a release. Even when holding on, perhaps out of fear or guilt or doubt, denies us the capacity to even consider walking away, her will prevails. Sometimes we invest in a relationship, a situation, a place, or an opportunity because we feel like it's needed. We feel like it's beneficial, only to realize later, if at all, that we have outgrown it. Then it becomes at best something that slows down our awakening, and at worst, a direct impediment to our spiritual growth. Regressive tendencies creep up on us very slowly so that we don't realize how much damage is being done over time. Even if we got a sense of something not being quite right, our awareness can never be complete when we are determined to remain attached and unwilling to see any truth that threatens that attachment. Any unwavering desire for a particular outcome locks us in to unwillingness to see the truth that would shift our perspective and open us to superior outcomes. I was telling y'all, flexibility, not being so rigid. We assign meanings to things, peoples, and places, and we will not let that meaning go. And everything that we ashay, everything we confirm, everything that we see that aligns with that bias, with those schemas, that is a perception that is being filtered through eyeglasses of unhealed trauma. And so we see what we expect to see. We usually can't see anything else because we hold on so tight to what we expect to see. And this is what happens to the brain when you have been living in survival mode. You know, it's not our fault, but it is definitely our honor and responsibility to change it. We may admit something is wrong, but choose to believe that if we just change ourselves somehow or work harder to heal the other person, then the negativity will transform into something positive. We then become trapped in an impossible situation of our own creation, knowing something is not working, but we are not capable of letting go, fooling ourselves into thinking we can heal and transform through methods that cannot accomplish the task. When Kali Devi's sword appears as a message, she advises that whatever we are struggling with can and should be handed over to a higher power. She will sever the threads of attachment, and we can trust that if someone or something is meant to remain in our lives or to return to our lives, according to divine love and wisdom, then so it shall be. If we need to go against divine love to keep something, it can only create more suffering. She will not only remove that impediment on your path, but support you, so that the release will bring joy rather than endless sorrow. I was just talking about the joy. The oracle of Khadga denotes divine workings in a struggle you are moving through at this time. There is a predestined series of events due to occur or orchestrated at a higher level. The timing will incorporate the paths of those you have soul contracts with and the movement of the collective consciousness. For you to be at the appropriate vibration to move in harmony with where you need to be and whom you need to interact with, certain releases have to take place now. You can trust in the doors that close just as much in the doors that will open as a result. So detachment is something that I have been practicing years, and the way that I attain detachment, instead of just trying to shift my mindset, use affirmations or meditations, I work with archetypes. I study them. I allow their consciousness to serve as a wise guide for me. And this helps me to bypass the spiritual bypassing, even though I'm using a spiritual technique. But this is a different process because these what I would consider to be dark mothers, meaning they are very powerful over the realm of the unseen, over our darkness, over our grief, our sadness, the subconscious mind. Remember, it's about severing the mind, the thoughts that keep you stuck. And for me, working with spirit guides, archetypes, ancestors, evoking, invoking, path working, I've done all of these things. And a lot of it I did like publicly and shared throughout that journey. And so because I've experienced both sides of ways to reach enlightenment, I have through trial and error, found like what really does cut deep enough. So this is an invocation, which is basically a prayer to call this consciousness and this energy to assist you. Beloved Divine Mother Kali, Devi Khadgasta, you wield the divine sword of protection that severs attachments and allows for spiritual progress and freedom for the heart to find and express divine fulfillment. May the process of letting go bring me peace and receptivity to great blessings through you, through your generosity. May this be restored upon me for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Jama Kali. Some powerful words. So this is a moment where you could listen to this and just lay down and relax. You know, Savasana is like basically laying down with your palms. Make sure your palms are up so that you are being receptive. You're in receiving mode. It's also called the corpse pose. Just listen to this and just lay there and allow yourself to be washed all over from your crown to your feet, to be washed with this frequency. And if you can do this in a room that's dark or slightly dark, maybe even with candlelight, even better. And just rest and allow yourself to receive what maybe has been blocked because you have been in survival mode and you have been guarded, and guidance has not been able to get to you. It's not always that you're not loved or cared for enough to receive guidance, but sometimes we are just not in the position to receive it. And just allow yourself to be grounded by paying attention to your body, paying attention to your breath, your heartbeat. And just imagine your body becoming heavy, your body becoming light as a result of becoming so heavy, where you begin to feel light as a feather. And you can just sense this stillness. And in this stillness, you might notice tension in certain areas. You might notice pain. Be present with the discomfort. We can't grow spiritually until we expand our capacity to be present with our own discomfort. Because as long as we're avoiding discomfort, we're not going to ever be able to see ourselves to allow us to change. And just be with whatever is happening without having to judge it. Like without having to think about why it's there, why it's happening, what's wrong, what did you do wrong. I know with this recent diagnosis, my mind kept saying, well, what did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? And it was like, no, that's a judgment. Like, that's a judgment. Bad things don't happen to good people. Good things don't happen to bad people. It's none of that. That's black and white, fight or flight thinking. No, it's not any of that. Everything that comes into my life is coming into my life to be of service to me. And as you rest and allow yourself to just feel the grace of just the idea that everything in your life is there to be of service to you. Just imagine that Kali's presence is just surrounding you and holding you and assisting you through this transformation. She knows what you've been through. She knows that you have went through more than enough pain. Are you ready to move on? Are you ready to let go? Just rest and let go. Let go of trying to control it. Don't try to control whatever you might be feeling as you're scanning your body. Just be present with it with no judgment. And once you get to a neutral space, you can send love to that space. And just rest there for a moment. Lay your hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Call for your heart chakra to empower your solar plexus, which is where we get our confidence. You know, this is more so about, though I am using deities to learn philosophies of life that are beyond time and space and human consciousness, This is as within, so without, once again.